Welcome, Nifty nerds! I hope you're ready to join the ranks of the undead. Today I have a makeup special effects tutorial that will show you how to create a flesh wound similar to something you might contract during the zombie apocalypse. Before we start though, a couple of things. First, if you're wearing jewelry such as rings, please remove them during the procedure to ensure they don't get gunked up with liquid latex. Second, if any of the skin or makeup products are new to you, please test them out on a small, inconspicuous area of skin to ensure you're not allergic to them. Obviously, if you're allergic to latex, please don't use the liquid latex. I hope you enjoy the tutorial. For supplies, I have my Injury Cream makeup stack from Cinema Effects. You can use any cream makeup in similar colors. I have black, bruised red, undead purple, and corpse yellow. You could also include a green if you wish. I have my liquid latex from Mehron. It's a beige color, white is fine. It does include a brush, but if you have a disposable bristle brush, I might recommend using that instead. I have a sponge for blending my colors. A cream foundation that matches my skin along with another blending sponge. I have a loose powder for setting my latex once it's dried, as well as the pick end of a tooth cleaner. You could also use tweezers or a toothpick. And then flat facial tissue, tissue paper, napkin, paper towel, torn into the rough size of the wound you'd like to create. I chose to create my wound on the back of my hand where there's relatively little hair. To start out with, take your liquid latex and cover the entire area that you want your wound to cover. What we're going to be doing is taking your tissue paper and building up layers. These layers with the liquid latex will simulate your skin. I'd recommend 3 to 5 layers depending upon the thickness of your chosen substance. Once you have your layer of liquid latex down, go ahead and take your first layer of tissue paper and gently pat it into place on top of the latex. Be sure the edges are smoothed down to ensure the next layer of liquid latex goes on well. Once it's in place, go ahead and cover it with another layer of latex. Be sure to blend outward so that your edges are smooth and transition nicely into your regular skin. Continue layering up the liquid latex and tissue paper until you have 3 to 5 layers. I decided to go with 4 layers for my flesh wound. Remember to blend outwards as you add the layers to ensure a smooth transition between the prosthetic and your actual skin. You may allow each layer to dry slightly in between one another, but ensure the liquid latex is still slightly tacky when placing your tissue paper on top. While building up the layers of your prosthetic, try to keep your body part in a neutral position. For example, having your hand in a fist while building up the layers will cause your prosthetic to wrinkle and bunch when you then straighten out your hand. In the reverse, if you have your hand completely straight while doing the prosthetic, your prosthetic will have very little room to stretch if you need to make a fist. Creating the prosthetic in a neutral position will give you the most amount of flexibility, and it will also allow the prosthetic to be the most comfortable while wearing it for an extended time. After your final coat of tissue paper, be sure to cover everything in one more good coat of liquid latex. Allow this to fully dry before moving on to the next step. Once your prosthetic is dry, coat the latex and surrounding skin area with a layer of loose powder. This will not only help set the latex, but it will also prepare the prosthetic for the coloring stage. The next step is to open up our wound. Take your sharp object, in my case I decided to use tweezers, and poke a hole in the center of your prosthetic. You're then going to work the latex by stretching and tearing it until you've opened up the wound to your satisfaction. Be patient with this stage of the process. You don't want to rip the entire prosthetic off, and you also don't want to damage your real skin underneath all the layers. I forgot to separate the 2-ply layers of the facial tissue I was using when building up my prosthetic. While not the end of the world, it did create a mess when opening up my wound. To prevent this from happening, be sure to separate the layers if they exist in your chosen medium before layering them up with latex. After you've opened up the wound to your liking and have peeled back the layers of skin, it's time to coat the entire prosthetic and surrounding skin in a layer of foundation. This will help it receive color and blend into your skin, since the prosthetic takes to the cream makeup better than your skin does. Now it's time to make your wound come to life. Take your color pots and start blending in color with your sponge. On the inside of the wound, you're going to want to rim it in black. This will add depth to your wound. Remember, a wound of this size will create bruising around your hand, so be sure to add red and purples around the edges. If it's an older wound, or you want a more grotesque wound, feel free to add green and yellow coloring for further bruising and rotting skin. It's really all about the layering here. Just keep adding color, being sure to blend them together to create a realistic effect. Remember to blend outward towards your normal skin to create a smooth transition. Once you've finished coloring your wound, it's time to add fake blood. I made some fake blood in my kitchen, and I'll link you to some recipes for creating your own if you don't want to buy some. Go ahead and slather it inside the wound. Feel free to make splatters, streaks, as well as drips to give it a realistic look. And there you have it, a grotesque flesh wound fit for a zombie apocalypse. My chosen blood recipe of corn syrup and food coloring dried after a few minutes, and I was able to wear my wound for the rest of the evening with no mishaps or messes. If you enjoyed this tutorial or have further questions, please let me know below in the comments. I'd be happy to have a conversation with you. Also, subscribe to my blog and follow me on Facebook. Feel free to request more special effects makeup. Thank you.